As we were children growing up, our parents were always having us work on our weaknesses. And when we went to school, oh my goodness, when we went to school, if you got an A in math and you got a C in language, what did they tell you to do? They told you to work on what? Your math or language? Talk to me. Language, they'd say, oh my goodness, you got a C in language. Get that C up. Get that grade up. Get that grade up. How many of you ever had somebody to tell you to work on one of your weaker subjects in school? Come on, raise your hands. Let's go on. That's it. Look around. You make sure. Okay. We all did. Well, work on your weaknesses. Oh, get that C. Can I tell you something? If you got an A in math and you got a C in language, don't work on your language. You know, get on your knees and thank God you got a C. Probably deserved a D. The teacher liked you. Don't work. Now, why did you get an A in math and a C in language? It's very simple. You have your DNA, who you are. You have a bent toward math, not toward language. You're always going to be better than math and language. It isn't because you work harder on one than the other. It's because the very fact is that there are some subjects we're better at than others. Is that not true? Now, what I'm saying to you is don't work on your weaknesses, and here's why. You ought to be up here where I am watching you right now during this lecture. Disbelief is all over your face. Some of you are going to leave here and go straight to a therapist. Let's say that, well, let's put it this way. Let's say from a 1 to a 10, I'm a 2 in something. Now 2 isn't very good. Okay, 2's very weak, okay? For example, I love music. That's the good news. The bad news is I can't sing. And so therefore, if I looked at you and said, I am going to be a great opera singer. Well, now, can I tell you something? I can have a heart to learn. I can go hire tutors, and I can go take music appreciation. I can take voice lessons. But can I tell you something? 2 or 3 years from now, I'm not going to go from a 2 to a 10. I'm going to go from a 2 to a 2.1. Listen carefully. You can only increase your skill level 2 numbers. This is major. You can't go from a 2 to a 10 in skill. Now, I'm only talking about your skills. I'm not talking about your attitude. You can go from a 1 to a 10 in attitude. I've known people who have a terrible attitude and change it, and they go to a 10. So I'm not talking about discipline. You can go from a 1 to a 10 in self-discipline. I'm talking about just your skill area. You can only increase your skill level 2 numbers on extreme times. Under unusual circumstances, I've seen people go 3 numbers. I've never seen anybody increase their skill level over 3 numbers. So if I'm a 2 in something, if I work hard on my weaknesses, I could become a 3. Hello. If I work hard, really work hard, and spend a lot of time, I could maybe become a 4. Let me tell you something about 4s. They're below average. And let me tell you something else. People don't pay for average. So why is everybody in love with it? People don't pay for average. I don't pay for average. You don't pay for average. Certainly you don't go to your spouse. If you've worked hard all day, certainly you don't go to your spouse and say, sweetheart, we've worked really hard today. We're kind of tired. I'll tell you what, let's do. This would be fun. Let's go to an average restaurant. Oh, boy. Do you think in KL we could find an average restaurant? Wouldn't it be something if we could go to an average restaurant tonight and have some average food? Oh, yes. Oh, let's do it. So you don't get in your car and drive down the street looking for the average restaurant. Finally you think, oh, I think that one's average. Nobody's there. And you pull in the average restaurant and you pull up right by the door. You get a park by the door at average restaurants. And you go in and the hostess is there to seat you and she gets ready to take you to a seat and say, oh, excuse me, before you take us to a seat. Do you have an average table? Now, I know that one table there, it's got the big mirror or big glass window out there, and you overlook the water, and oh my, that's really awesome, and we don't want that table. No. We like to have an average table. Do you have a table where nobody has sat today? And when she escorts you to the average table, you don't sit down and say, excuse me, one more favor. Thank you. First of all, thank you for the average table. This is really average. Thank you. Oh, yes. Do you have an average waiter? Now, we don't want your best waiter. No. Oh, we don't want one of those waiters that comes and takes the order without writing anything down and memorizes the order and memorizes our name and is prompt and brings us our food on time. No. Do you have a waiter that will come and take the order and then mess it up when they take it to the kitchen and bring the wrong food out? So, excuse me, it'll be another 45 minutes. Can we have one of those, waiter? And when the average waiter comes to the average table at the average restaurant, you don't look at them and they start to tell you what their specialty is. And so, no, you don't understand. We don't want to know what you're good at. No. Do you have any average food back there? Let me ask you it this way. Do you have any food back there that nobody's ordered today? No, you don't go to an average table at an average restaurant, ask for an average waiter and get average food, and walk out of there an hour and a half later and say, wow, we got to do this again. No. People don't pay for average. But if you work on your weaknesses, listen to me carefully, if you work on your weaknesses, you will at best become average. You will never distinguish yourself. You will never set yourself apart. You will never become a person of excellence. You'll never have people standing in line to see you, to hear you, to buy something from you. You'll never have anybody drive by your store, drive by someone else's store to get to your store. You see, if you're average, you're just average. And average people will not be successful. They will not help a lot of people. And they will not make a lot. Average is average. And if you work on your weaknesses, you are going to be average all of your life. But let's just turn it around for a second. Let's say from a 1 to a 10, let's say you're a 7. You're already above average. You're already a little bit of, this is in your strength zone. This is what you're good at. This is what you do that gives you a good, let's say you're a 7. Now, let me tell you something. If you're a 7 and you start getting a tutor, or you get a mentor, or you get somebody around you, you could go to be an 8. And, if you go to a Maxwell seminar, you could become a 9. People stand in line for 9s. Oh my goodness. When you're a 9, you're excellent. You've set yourself apart from everyone else. People wait in line for 9s. They pay extra money for 9s. They listen extra carefully to 9s because now you're in your strength zone, and what you do, you really do well. You're really good at what you do. I was speaking to a couple hundred presidents. This was another, I told you earlier about a CEO day, and I was telling those CEOs to work on to go back and tell people what they're not good at. Well, this was another President's Day with another group of presidents of companies, and I was teaching them all during the day through this whole process, and I was telling them to quit working on their weaknesses, but I was also telling them to not let their people work on their weaknesses. And we were doing a Q&A because there were only a couple hundred of them there, and they began to push back. And one guy especially began to push back. He said, John, this really bothers me that you say we shouldn't work on our weaknesses. He said, all my life I've worked on my weaknesses. I've tried to he said, this really bothers me. I said, that's okay. It's good to be bothered. It's okay. Take a pill. You'll be okay. And he began to push back. He said, now let's just take, for example, Tiger Woods. He said, Tiger Woods, when he plays a round of golf and he hasn't played a good round, he immediately, when he's done playing that round of golf, he heads over to the practice range, and maybe for the next 2 hours, Tiger Woods will hit golf balls. And he said, now that's a perfect example, John, of working on your weaknesses. I said, no, it's not. It's a perfect example of working on your strengths. In case you don't realize it, Tiger Woods is the best golfer in the world. Hello? When he's working on his golf swing, he's working in his strength zone. He gets millions of dollars for that swing. I said, let me give you the difference. When I finish playing a round of golf, I go to the practice range and I practice. But because I'm not a good golfer, I'm in my weak zone. For me, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. The more I practice on my weakness, the more I consistently am bad. I've got those bad swings perfected after a while. I could do that bad swing every time. You say, he is the most consistent bad swinger I've ever seen in my life. That ball every time just goes right. It's not a slice, it's a boomerang. It comes right back to him. In fact, I was playing golf with a guy one time, and he was a good golfer, and I'm not a good golfer, and I'm sitting there, and I'm saying, oh, talk to me. What's wrong with my swing? And he looked at me. He really encouraged me. He said, I've been watching you for a couple of holes. And he said, I think you've only got one problem. I thought, oh, this is good. I can fix one problem. Hello? I said, what is it? Come on, talk to me. What's my problem? He says, you're too close to the ball after you hit it. It's the only problem I have. Now, can I tell you something? I could go to the golf course every day, take lessons every day, and never make a living out of playing golf. It's my weakness. In fact, when I play golf with guys and they're not very good, they get real frustrated. I say, oh, don't get frustrated. You could be doing this for a living. Relax. Enjoy yourself. One of my favorite golf stories, now that I'm on golf, one of my favorite golf stories is these two guys who get up to the tee and they're not any good at golf at all. They're terrible golfers. I mean, they're terrible. I mean, they're really terrible golfers. I mean, in their golf bags, they have things like a weed eater. So when they get in the weeds, they can chop them down so they can find their ball. This one guy, he gets up and tees it up, and he swings, and much to his surprise, the ball goes right down the middle. He's so excited. He has never seen his ball in the fairway. In fact, he's never seen his ball after he hit it. He's so excited. He looks at his buddy. He says, look at this. Look at me. I'm down the middle of the fairway. They're walking down the fairway. He's so excited. I've never been in the fairway of the ball. I've never seen my ball after I've hit it before. This is really good. And he gets up there about 200 yards out, and the ball is not only in the middle of the fairway, but it has rolled up on a 4-inch anthill. It's in the middle of the fairway. It's teed up for him. He grabs his 3-wood, says, this is my day. I'm going to hit the ball on the green in regulation. I've never been in the green in 2. Swings as hard as he can, and he misses the whole ball and kills 5,000 ants. Miracle of miracles, the ball, instead of being on a 4-inch anthill, is now on a 2-inch anthill. It stayed on top of the anthill. It's still teed up for him. He said, oh, this is my second chance. Grabs the 3-wood, swings as hard as he can. He misses the whole ball again and kills 4,998 more ants. 2 ants are left. One ant says to the other, I don't know about you, but if we're going to survive, we had better get on the ball. Now what I've discovered is that people that are successful, they get into their strength zone. They start at something they're already decent at, and they get much better. So go to your strength zone, not your weak zone. Does that make sense? Tell the person you're sitting beside, say, that makes sense to me. Go ahead and tell them that, right? I said, that makes sense to me. And look right back at them and say, by the way, you're no Tiger Woods either. Now, what I've discovered is people, now watch this, people that are highly successful have found their strength zone. And every day, remember I said that earlier this morning, the secret of your success is determined by your daily agenda. Every day, these people are in their sweet spot. Every day, they're doing what they do well. I'm known for speaking and communicating. I'm not known for singing. Not one of you came to this seminar today and said, boy, what I really hope is John Maxwell breaks forth in song today. Wouldn't it be something if he'd start singing any time now? No, you don't want to hear me sing. I'm not any good. You didn't pay to hear me sing. No. I'd have to pay you to hear me sing. And let me tell you something. When you are in your strength zone, when you are in your sweet spot, it's easy. It's not easy like you didn't have to work for it. But you see, when I'm here talking to you today, I'm as relaxed if I were over in the corner talking to you one-on-one. I'm not nervous. I'm not kind of tense or anything like that. I'm just here drinking my water and eating my cough drops and talking to you because we're friends. We've been doing this all day together. And one of the things I've discovered is that when you're in your strength zone, you wonder why everybody else can't do it as well as you can. You just sit there and you say, my goodness, this is easy. It's because it's in your strength zone. Find your sweet spot. Find it and stay there. For example, communication is one of my strengths, and my wife Margaret, once in a while, some group will ask her to, because of they'll say, boy, if your husband speaks, you probably speak. And they'll say, would you come and speak at our banquet? And every once in a while, Margaret does something stupid and says yes. And I hate it when she says yes. You know why I hate it when she says yes? Because I know what she's going to do. She's going to come to me and say, John, I got to go speak for this banquet. And then she's going to ask me, first thing she's going to ask me, what should I say? Can I tell you something? If you don't know what to say, it's not your strength zone. And I look at her and say, oh, Margaret, honey, that's not that complicated. And, well, she'll say, give me a subject. What should I talk on? What should I talk on? I said, well, why don't you wait till you get there? What do you mean? What do you mean? Wait till I get there. I said, well, they're going to have a banquet. Their people are going to go before you, and they're going to say things. And just kind of listen to what they say and teach principles off of what they say. Just kind of hang loose until you get done, and then until they're all done, then get up and speak. She hates that answer. Why? It's not her strength zone. Now, I'm not picking on her because my wife is incredible in decorating. She is unbelievable. Colors, fabric. You ought to see our house. You ought to pay for our house. That's a new one. Just a second. I want to write that one down. It feels so good when you get a new idea. It doesn't come on. I had a new idea in 1989 and I didn't write it down. And oh, it's incredible. She colors. I mean, I'm not colorblind, but I'm worthless. I mean, I can't figure out what matches. I have been known to go in my closet at the house and stand there for 15 minutes trying to figure out what to wear. I'm just kind of, yeah. And finally Margaret said, John, are you in the closet again? She comes and I'm just staring. I got little slobbers coming down my face. And she'll say, oh, here, I'll get it for you. So the first thing she does is she makes me get out of the closet, which is very humiliating. So now I'm standing out in the hallway, and she says, okay, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to go speak at a conference day at Cal. So she pulls off the stuff, and she gives it to me and says, here, now, wear this. You'll look good. So I think, thank you, babe, thank you. Now, what I do, because I'm not good at this, I'm smart. It's like if she picks out like a sweater and slacks for me, a lot of times when I'm done, I'll put them back on the same hanger. And I know that matches. And maybe a week later, I'll kind of go in there and I'll say, I can do this. And I pull off the sweater and the slacks and the shirt that she'd picked out a week before, and I'll put them on, and I'll come walking out, and she'll look at me and she'll say, are you going to wear that again? Kind of thought I would. Oh, she said, John, don't do that. You wore that last week. People will see you that. No. And she goes in and she'll switch sweaters on me or switch slacks on me. And she does what she calls mixes and matches, which is another word to say that she likes to keep me in a constant state of confusion. Because I can't figure it out. Now she's mixing and matching, and I'm all mixed up, and I can't match anything. And once in a while, I'll have to get up real early for appointments. And so I'll get in the closet, and I'll think, well, I forgot, because usually at night she picks it out for me next morning. And I'll say, oh, I forgot to ask her, so I don't want to wake her up. So I'll go in and I'll pick out my own outfit. And then I'll come back maybe in the middle of the day, and I'll walk in the house, and she'll look at me, and she'll look at me and say, John, did you wear that? And I'll look at her and say, no, honey, this is a mirage. I'm buck naked in front of you. Did I wear that? Of course I wore that. I mean, it's on me. That's a hint that I wore that. And then the next question, she'll look at me and say, who saw you? I'll say, well, I was on CNN this morning. Now, you see, she's amazed. She's amazed that I can't pick out my clothes. I'm amazed that she can't speak. See, one's her strength zone, one's my strength zone. And one of the greatest days in your life is when you understand that other people have different strengths than you. And let me tell you something. A successful person has found their strength zone. A successful leader has helped others find their strength zone. That's what makes the difference between a successful individual and a successful leader. What does a successful leader do? A successful leader is continually helping people find what they do best, and he or she is putting them in that position because he is setting them up, or she as a leader is setting them up for success. And you set a person up for success by helping them find what they're good at. You don't set people up by having them find their weaknesses. Here's the way it works. I have a degree in counseling, but I'm a terrible counselor. I said, you don't want to come to me for counseling, because I'm one of these kind of people. If you come to me and you got a problem, I'll listen to you for about 5 minutes, and then I'll give you a 3-step plan on how to fix it. And I used to, people come in for counseling, I'd listen to them, and I'd give them 3 steps, tear off the sheet of paper, and say, be healed. And they'd come back next month with another problem. As we were children growing up, our parents were always having us work on our weaknesses. And when we went to school, oh my goodness, when we went to school, if you got an A in math and you got a C in language, what did they tell you to do? They told you to work on what? Your math or language? Talk to me. Language, they'd say, oh my goodness, you got a C in language. Get that C up. Get that grade up. Get that grade up. How many of you ever had somebody to tell you to work on one of your weaker subjects in school? Come on, raise your hands. Let's go on. That's it. Look around. You make sure. Okay, we all did. Well, work on your weaknesses. Oh, get that C. Can I tell you something? If you got an A in math and you got a C in language, don't work on your language. So you could, I'm not talking about discipline. You can go from a 1 to a 10 in self-discipline. I'm talking about just your skill area. You can only increase your skill level 2 numbers on extreme times. Under unusual circumstances, I've seen people go 3 numbers. I've never seen anybody increase their skill level over 3 numbers. So if I'm a 2 in something, if I work hard on my weaknesses, I could become a 3. Hello. If I work hard, really work hard, and spend a lot of time, I could maybe become a 4. Let me tell you something about 4s. They're below average. Hard to learn. I can go hire tutors, and I can go take music appreciation. I can take voice lessons. But can I tell you something? 2 or 3 years from now, I'm not going to go from a 2 to a 10. I'm going to go from a 2 to a 2.1. Listen carefully. You can only increase your skill level 2 numbers. This is major. You can't go from a 2 to a 10 in skill. Now, I'm only talking about your skills. I'm not talking about your attitude. You can go from a 1 to a 10 in attitude. I've known people have a terrible attitude and change it, and they go to a 10. You right now during this lecture. Disbelief is all over your face. Some of you are going to leave here and go straight to a therapist. Let's say that, well, let's put it this way. Let's say from a 1 to a 10, I'm a 2 in something. Now 2 isn't very good. Okay, 2's very weak, okay? For example, I love music. That's the good news. The bad news is I can't sing. And so therefore, if I looked at you and said, I am going to be a great opera singer. Well, now, can I tell you something? I can have get on your knees and thank God you got a C. Probably deserved a D. The teacher liked you. Don't work. Now, why did you get an A in math and a C in language? It's very simple. You have your DNA, who you are, you have a bent toward math, not toward language. You're always going to be better than math and language. It isn't because you work harder on one than the other. It's because the very fact is that there are some subjects we're better at than others. Is that not true? Now, what I'm saying to you is don't work on your weaknesses, and here's why. You ought to be up here where I am watching